There was a young lady who worked over there who was the head of that whole department and was running things, and she could talk about those motors and all of the parts of the cars just as well as any man on the floor out there. So it was a delight to have her come and talk with the kids and talk about the relevancy of what they were learning in class and how that was going to help them in their careers outside their education.
As a talk about relevancy, because that's one thing I see as important in my classroom today.
Well, I wanted to add to the Tennessee Academy of Sciences Visiting Scholar Program. Some of the other scientific professional associations also have similar programs. The Neurological Society does for sure that I know of, and that may pick up some other scientists that may not be task members and on that list, but can be brought in through other organizations. But yes, relevancy is a huge issue. All of our students want to know why what they're learning about in the classroom is important. Why do we need to learn this? And I tell my students that everything that's inside our bodies and outside of our bodies is actually science. And science is dependent upon mathematics. They are inextricably linked. And so we need to understand these very basic scientific principles so that we can understand everything that goes on in our world.
I think the American Society of Engineers, they're very willing to come out. And then our math folks would often get people to come in from the banks and talk about the banking industry.
Or insurance companies and actuarial jobs. And
students seem to want to know why they're studying this, because I get those questions all the time in my physical science class. And also I'll put in a plug for GRITS. This is a dissemination grant funded by the National Science Foundation for the state of Tennessee, and we do have travel funds that we can come talk to your classrooms. We can come talk to parents groups. We can talk to Girl Scout troop leaders. We can talk to PTOs, you name it, if they are interested in finding out how you can help girls be encouraged to stay in science, to study science, to learn their math, to see what kind of careers are available for them. That GRITS will certainly be a part of that. We can certainly help with that. And you never know where you're going to find somebody, like you were saying, Linda, at the car dealership. I mean, I have no shame when I ask somebody, when I find out, you know, if they're doing something relevant to math or science, do you want to come and be an EYH workshop presenter, because I'm the director of the Expanding Your Horizons conference here. And that has certainly been a very good tool in keeping girls interested in science. One thing that we have found out, and it's very hard to track the girls here in Middle Tennessee, so if any of you have any ideas about how we can track them and see if they are going into math and science, I'd really love to hear that. And it's not just here in Tennessee, it's tracking all EYH conferences. But we've heard that one young lady who came to one of our very first Expanding Your Horizons conferences is now studying physics at the University of Chicago, which is just very, very impressive, because the University of Chicago is one of the very top physics schools. And her mother's a history teacher, and her mother doesn't know how in the world she created a physicist, but that's okay. That's science, right? So any other ways that you might have that we can keep encouraging these girls to do things and keep on the science and math track?
I could think of a way. How about MySpace and Facebook, setting up an EYH network, so that each EYH site could have their own MySpace or Facebook, and the girls can affiliate themselves with EYH that way.
That's a good idea, because this generation is so much more technologically oriented than when I was coming through school. So what's going on with respect to technology in the classroom? Is that catching girls' interest, or I don't know.
Well, I just had a thought. The state is working with the Center for Math and Science Education, of which W is a part, on doing podcasts.
I had the same thought.
And maybe we could do some podcasts for girls on careers in science and have those female role models that...
Oh, that would be wonderful. Because I know Stacy Roberts-Orr, who's the National EYH Director, has submitted a proposal to the National Science Foundation saying, we need to do podcasts for girls. So we'll talk about that, because that's certainly important. And with these video conferences, I think it's October 16th, is that right? We're going to be doing a series of chemistry demonstrations, and I'm going to get some of our WISE students. These are our Women in Science and Engineering students on campus. Even though it is fall break, if they're still around, you know, in Murfreesboro area, we're going to come in and do some demonstrations, and we hope a lot of the students will watch and see women having fun doing and explaining chemistry. And I'm looking at Jabe, who's one of my students in the audience, having fun doing chemistry experiments. We're going to put an egg in a bottle and figure out how to get it out and change colors. We can't blow up anything in here, but we'll do some safe things.
One of the things that I remember looking forward to in the spring when I was still teaching was an event that was held at, I believe Oak Ridge High School was the host. And we probably took some tours over to Oak Ridge National Lab, and also another partner in that was Oak Ridge Associated Universities and the Institute for Science Education there. Collaboratively, they used to put together a conference for the schools in that region for women in science. And they always had some delightful guests and good role models come to the conference. And so maybe it might be possible to form partnerships with local institutions of higher education and some of the other industry partners that are within your region to put together something like that, where you would pay a small registration fee perhaps to cover the cost of the conference and the travel for speaker or speakers, and have some things available for girls to actually see women working in their environment. And it's totally different because they don't walk around with those pocket protectors and their pins. You know, they're normal people that have families and mortgages or need a new car just like the rest of us. And I think it's good for girls to be able to see that. But one particular speaker that they had that comes to mind, her name was probably Millicent, but I think she asked us to call her Millie. And she looked like a person who might bake cookies on Sunday. I mean, you would never think that she was the head of the department for math and science at MIT. And she talked for a while, and there were 3 things that I think we all came away with after listening to her. She said, of course, you had to get a good education so you would have that knowledge background. I mean, I think we all know that. And then she said that you had to work hard and pay your dues, and it probably won't be in 10 years or 20 years until you will be able to say what you really think. She said, I think I'm to the point now where I can pretty much say what I think needs to be said and really make some big changes. But she said, it took a while for me to get here, and I think all of you have to understand that you just have to pay your dues, which I think is an important piece of information. But probably the most profound thing she said, and I didn't really think it was profound at the moment she said it, but on the way back home, I thought, well, that really was very important, and that was to choose your mate carefully, because that person is going to participate in most of your your major life choices, and if they won't provide the support that you need, then it's going to be real hard for you to be successful in your career. And I thought that was extremely important advice to give to young ladies. So those may be some things that you might think about having, because I think they can change people's thinking and their lives around a little bit.
I remember attending one of those conferences at Oak Ridge, and I think it was the very last one they held in I think it was 2003, maybe 2002, when we first started our excuse me, our WISE organization here on campus. And Karen and I have been talking about trying to gather up the needed partners to bring something like that to the MTSU campus, because I think it is very important for our girls and our women who are here on the college campus to hear what is going on with women in science, technology, engineering, and math. We've been very